welcoming you to a life of awareness. The Presence Project is excited for you to join us for today's podcast with your host, Paul Kerzner.
Hello and welcome to episode 36 of Are You Being Present? My name is Paul Kerzner. I want to welcome you to the present moment. I want to welcome you to the here and now. And I want to thank you wholeheartedly, sincerely, and deeply for joining me in this amazing present moment. The title and topic of today's podcast is Empowering Women with Presence. And I am so happy to have had on my good friend Jackie Wszalek, who I've known for the past 4.5 years now, close to 5. We met at a networking group, and there's always been a great vibe between the two of us. She's been very supportive. She's done all of the printing. She owns a printing company here in Scottsdale. And she's just an all-around phenomenal person to know. She's also a really great person who has been working and empowering women. At her media company, Splash Media, she only employs women. I don't think it's exclusionary to men. I just think that that's how it's worked out. And I joke with her at times that she works at the fortress of estrogen, or because if you ever go in there, there's a really interesting, strong female vibe. And I don't think that she's excluded men in general. I think that's just how it worked out. But I know she's a part of a couple other support groups for women and working on a few projects to empower women. And being that about 60 to 70% of my patient base is female, I feel like I've had the great honor to sit in front of and listen to a lot of women going through a lot of different things. And as a man, I will never claim to truly understand the female plight. I will tell you that conceptually I can try to understand what it's like, but no man can ever really fully get it. And so I wanted to have on Jackie because I wanted to talk about empowering women with presence and how important it is for women to be present. Because, being a woman is not an easy thing this day and age. There's a lot of challenges and there's a lot of emotion that's always pumping through. And it's so important to anchor in, to root down, and to find your center in that present moment while you're experiencing all those emotions, because it's so easy to get pulled out of the present moment and start thinking about the past and worrying about the future. We all do it, men and women included. So without any further introduction, here is episode number 36 with Jackie Wszalek. Jackie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Paul.
It's been a little while. This is episode number 36, and nice. I've been wanting to invite you on. Actually,
thanks.
A topic that I think is actually really relevant and prevalent right now, and one that I believe I'm going to title the podcast is Empowering Women with Presence. Perfect. The women's empowerment movement, feminism, all these keywords that seem to be so hot right now, especially with politics. The movement didn't just start today. It didn't just start over the past month or two since the election, even though it kind of seems like it.
It's just brought it forward.
Exactly. And, I would say that the majority of my patient base is women. So, I am privy to seeing what goes on. I don't think any man properly can understand what it's like to be a woman at all. But I am aware of the emotional magnitude, the emotional minefields that take place, and its effects on presence.
Yes.
Because, women inherently emotionally multitask, which is a daunting idea. As a man, it seems terrible. I really enjoy having one emotion at a time. Whatever it is, it's like, at least it's just one. At least it's just one.
We're so complicated.
Look, you said it, not me, but I'm agreeing with you.
Yes.
But I just, I think that presence, especially for women, is so important. It's such an important endeavor because those emotions, and as visceral as they are, whether, a woman's going through menopause, whether a woman's on her menses, it actually doesn't even matter. It's just the visceral emotions pull you right out of the present moment.
Yep.
Every single time.
They can. Absolutely, they can. And that's the beauty and the curse of being complicated, right?
Yeah.
But being present moment and identifying present moment can only make it easier to walk this path.
Yeah. So how do we empower women with presence? Like what does that entail?
Well, if I had my magic wand over the world, it would be simply showing women how to take a breath. Each time something arises, name it, take a breath, and deal with it with the pure emotion, but knowing that emotion doesn't have to tag you and keep you in a state of flurry. It can actually pull you into a state of presence that will guide you in the right direction. So women have a strong sense of knowing. And so often, if things get convoluted, that sense of knowing goes away. And so if we can bring ourselves into present moment, that sense of knowing, oh my goodness, power beyond belief.
So you're talking about the female intuition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the issue is that if you're not present as a woman, you're completely disconnected from your intuition. Yeah.
And that's one of our most powerful gifts. Oh my goodness. And you're born with it. Everyone is. But I really do believe women have a greater sense of it. And if we listen to it and came close to present moment, as you talk about, wow, power.
One of the things that I've noticed that detracts from presence, with women, but as well as men, is, different substances, food, stuff like that.
Oh.
In a sense of like numbing things out.
Absolutely. And I think addictions are that exaggerated case of not being present moment and of letting circumstances pull us along. Habits, all of those things pull us out of the present. And we make choices based on habit and things that have been, excuse the literal, but fed to us. Instead of that deep knowing that this is good for us or not good for us. What are the consequences?
I mean, you talk about fed to you. You're talking about societal norms.
Yep.
You're talking about what is acceptable for a woman.
Exactly.
And coming into this day and age, 2017. It's got to be an interesting time to be a woman. It's a very powerful in Western society.
In Western society.
And it's a glorious time.
Oh, and with that power, oh my goodness, we really truly can change the whole vision of what the world should look like.
Yeah.
Because we have been fed, again, I'll use that word, some things that we've accepted, at least me personally, and now as things are brought to the forefront, I look at them more consciously and say, oh, good Lord, why did I ever accept that as true? It's not true. The Athena model of leadership looks so much different. The female version of leadership looks so much different than the male version of leadership. And it's not that a male can't assume the Athena leadership model. It's really that we have to complement and embrace both styles.
See, I didn't even know there was more than one style of leadership.
Exactly.
And look, we do, whether we like it or not, this society has been geared in a very male-dominated way.
Command and control as opposed to collaborative, right?
Yeah, and it's just it doesn't really work.
It doesn't serve any of us.
No, and it takes a more progressive mind. I don't say that one perspective is better than the other.
No,
I think that we have to take a metered approach and find that middle ground, and that's the issue with the pendulum swinging so far one way or the other is that so the pendulum is going to swing towards feminism. that it's not good for the pendulum to be there.
For us to be either way.
No, it's too polarizing.
That's why I'm 50-50 parity is what I really hope for in this world, because I love, yin and yang.
Yeah.
It's a balancing act all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes one works better and sometimes the other works better, but it really serves all of us if we accept and honor that feminine spirit also. And too often that's been diminished.
Yeah.
And, that goes back to the days of the witches, right? The feminist or the female power was getting too strong. Boom, command and control. Let's burn those.
Yeah. No, I mean, anyone who has any history and looks at the Catholic Church,
Right.
they did the same thing. And it's like, it just kind of seems to have repeated itself through history. Which, if history is any indication of the future, it's definitely something that we need to be cognizant of.
Correct.
And we had a conversation a few weeks ago about this feminist movement and how extreme it's become.
Absolutely.
And, when things are extreme, it never works out in the end.
It never works out. And that's why, as a woman business owner, what I've learned in the last few years, it was always this... how do we get invited to the table, right? Well, we're not going to get invited, so we'll make our own table.
Yeah.
That doesn't work either. It's a table where brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers are all joined together to really create a world that works for everybody.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a vision that's a little, sounds impossible to some. I couldn't walk this planet if I didn't think that was possible.
No, and I agree with you. But if we look at like the support groups that exist out there right now, there's a ton of women support groups.
Yep.
And I totally get it and respect it. I don't see men's support groups.
No.
And for whatever reason, I think that it would be really nice to have equal parity in there, and or just a regular support group. But I get it.
Yeah.
I do understand that there are times and places where women, need to be around other women.
Yeah.
But creating your own paradigm and having it for us by us doesn't serve anyone.
No, I'm with you.
And I
Paul.
mean, and it really detracts from presence.
Yep.
Because you are implementing a system that is definitely not progressive.
Right.
You might think it's progressive.
Right.
It's not progressive.
No.
It's regressive because you're keeping other people out.
Exactly. And it is collaborative and it should be together. And I raised 2 boys. I married a long time. I love men. I want them at my table. I don't want a world that's exclusively women. It's got to be a balance.
Yeah.
It's got to. So.
Yeah. And that's what I'm hoping for, is that I get the feminist movement and the anger and indignation that's taking place right now, and I respect it. I have no qualms, because I feel like women need a voice too.
Yeah.
But we have to really look at becoming a little bit more moderate.
Yep.
And accepting.
Yep.
And not destructive or exclusive.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe the backlash comes from feminism being even thrown out a few years ago. So I'm old enough to have been in the first wave of feminism in this world. And it became ugly to say that you were.
A feminist?
Absolutely. And so then we went, so I'm speaking personally. So then I go back to, they are all awful, horrible, and, I'll forge my own way. That doesn't work either, Paul. It really has to be this joining of both forces, male, female. We're all humanists, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to feminist or whatever term you want to use. But it's the human condition. You've got as much feminine as you as I have male in me, right? So each of us is a good balance of that.
Yeah.
Do we want to be on that spectrum where we have more of one than the other so that we can show up in the world and bring our vision? Absolutely.
Yeah. And just bringing it back to how we can empower women with presence.
Yep.
I understand how emotions are and how overwhelming they can be. But when you're emotional, first of all, no good decisions ever come through emotion.
No.
And no present decisions ever come from emotion either.
No.
And like we have to have a presence practice. Women as much as men, but we're talking about women right now, that makes you cognizant and that you're able to express yourself.
Yep.
And that the feelings that you're feeling have to do with what's going on in the moment.
Right.
It's when those feelings become dominant and they're all about something that happened in the past or the future that you get lost in them.
Exactly.
And
that's that whole bring it back to a meditative practice, bringing it back to just a quiet practice. If it's 10 minutes sipping your coffee, bring it to present moment. What does all that mean? Label the stuff, bring it back so that your intuition, which is a mix of emotions, it's a mix of your heart, it's a mix of your thoughts, it's a mix of your habits, it's all the past things brought to present moment that means something. And when we start making up the future, that doesn't serve us either.
No.
It's being right present with what's happening now that you can make some thoughtful choices.
Yeah, and I know you're a yoga teacher.
Yep.
So, yoga is also an amazing presence tool. Some people choose to be present in their yoga practice and other people sit there and think about everything else but yoga.
Exactly.
I mean, again, it's a subjective endeavor by itself. But, I don't claim or state that presence is easy.
Right.
And I understand that being a woman, it can be extremely challenging at times, depending upon your condition, your situation, your life, whatever is going on with you.
Right.
And I get that. But, if you want to soften up everything, it is going to be a matter of trying your best to be more present.
Absolutely.
Through whatever the roller coaster is, through whatever the situation is. Because, if you ultimately are working on presence, then you're honoring your truth.
Right.
Which is an issue that a lot of women...
I think that's the one that we probably struggle with a lot.
Yeah, you're told that your truth is wrong or that you shouldn't speak your truth or whatever it is, and that pulls you out of presence completely. Anyway. The problem is that, and I have an analogy, like when people start to speak their truth, men, women, whoever, it's like a baby learning how to talk and you just start and they just yell all the time. Okay.
I love it. Yeah.
So when people start speaking their truth, it becomes out loud and they start telling it to everyone and it's like really uninhibited and so that's a practice by itself, but we encourage people to speak their truths, but you have to speak it from a clear place. Because if you're speaking truth from an emotional place, all people are going to hear are the emotions.
Oh, absolutely. I've had people tell me that the Women's March was just a bunch of angry women who their husbands don't allow them to. I mean, that's as far from the truth, from my truth, as possible. So, let's sit back. Let's not be emotional about it. Let's find our truth and speak it loud and clear, but in a way that makes things move forward instead of closing and not being heard.
Yeah, but
I'm not going to hear the baby crying.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like, as a man, and when I'm having a conversation, specifically with a woman, like it's hard to hear past emotion.
Right.
Because all we want to do is fix it and be like, I'm
Just
sorry.
get
I don't
over
know
that.
what are you? Like,
You shouldn't feel that way.
Exactly, and I mean
you
that's
should.
just,
Yeah.
and we're not saying that it's wrong. We're saying that like if you really want someone else to understand where you're coming from,
And to hear.
and to hear you, and to hear your truth,
Right.
then it is so important to take your time, not come at it in an emotional way where you're all worked up. And we're not saying, and I'm not saying that it's wrong. You're not wrong for feeling the way you do.
Right.
But if you want growth, progress, and presence, you're going to have to kind of like set that aside.
Find a way to do it in a gentler, kinder way.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I get that too. I think that like women's empowerment is important.
Yep.
I think men's empowerment's important.
Yep.
I think human empowerment's important. puppy empowerment, all this empowerment is important. But,
well, when we have healthy people, we can put an agenda forth that is healthy.
Yeah.
When we aren't healthy, it looks horrible.
And we're talking mind, body, spirit.
Mind, body, spirit, all one.
All one, very holistic.
Absolutely.
And
present.
More than anything, there it is.
Back to the present moment.
I mean, that's what it's going to come down to, because your life is a collection of present moments.
Yep, one after another.
And the easier you let each moment go, the easier your life is going to be.
Yep.
And that comes back down to flexibility.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the yoga practice, right? In an hour and a half. If I find that I've been practicing over 20 years, I am so grateful when I have even 10 minutes of that practice being in the zone and being present.
Yeah.
Because, oh, my toenail looks this way. Oh, I didn't feel that yesterday. Oh, we're tugged in a million places. And if we're type A personalities, we're tugged in 5 million places, right?
Yeah.
And the baby here and this, that. And I have to grocery shop tonight. I mean, there's so many things. So getting to present moment is absolutely a practice, and a practice well worth undertaking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm aware of all of the work that you've done for women.
Yeah, thanks.
Your castle of estrogen.
We've got
AKA Splash Media.
We've got it.
If anyone ever wants to enter into a printing company and experience estrogen in its purest form, see Jackie, just walk right in. You'll be like, oh, there's no men here.
Getting my certification for a woman-owned business was hilarious because they had to do a site survey, and of course someone walked in and said, we don't even have to talk to you. This is a woman's place. So there was no question. Absolutely.
I know you're also part of an organization that supports women.
Yep.
What's that?
Well, there's a couple of them, actually. NAWBO is National Association of Women Business Owners, and now I've just started a new movement with another woman, and we're identifying women-owned, women-operated businesses. And so by joining that movement, it's a funny name. It's called WOWOB. Funny name, serious business, right?
That's your tagline. Right?
That's our tagline. And it's a real easy process based on a local first model, buying from women, supporting women-based businesses really helps not only the economy, but it helps the social movement also.
Yeah, totally.
So, yep.
So what?
I know.
Yeah, what's the
We'll
name?
give you your sticker.
Thank you. I'll proudly display it on my front door.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe. What's the name of your company?
My company is Splash Printing and Marketing. We're located in Scottsdale in the Air Park.
So if anyone needs anything printed,
absolutely.
Jackie is your woman.
Thank you.
What's the URL?
SplashAZ.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Jackie,
thanks.
Thank you
you're welcome.
for coming on the podcast.
What a treat.
Seriously.
Yeah.
This is an important topic,
It
and
is.
I'm glad I was able to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
I hope that the people listening, men, women, children, whomever, just understand that we're all for empowerment in general.
Yep.
But it has to come through presence.
Absolutely.
Okay? Because really, whatever happened in the past, that's done.
Yep.
Tomorrow is not promised. You can plan all you want, and you're going to see how life will flip it upside down, because it does that often. And if you can laugh at it, all the more,
Exactly.
because at least then you get into that flow state where you can adapt without being emotional about it.
Exactly. Flexible strength and balance. Find that in the
those
presence.
are cores, yeah.
Yep.
That's important.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jackie,
You're
so
welcome,
much
Paul.
for
What a
joining
treat.
us. I want to thank
Thanks.
everyone for listening, and I want to welcome everyone back to the present moment.
Thank you for listening to the Are You Being Present podcast, brought to you by the Presence Projects. Remember, you have a choice. Choose to be present.